I don't hate Crystal
When I was
Skull,
done
but
with
I can
Indiana
remember
Jones and the Last
when I first saw it in
Crusade, there
theaters,
was
I
a
was
reason
really
that I
disappointed,
invented the
even
shot
as a young
of
kid at the
Harrison.
time. But it was the first time in my movie-going experience at that young age that I was disappointed, watching the film. And I've only seen it all the way through twice in my entire life. Once as a kid in theaters, and then fairly recently, about 2 years ago, right before Dollar Destiny came out, I gave it a rewatch, and I don't hate it. However, it's not the indie film that I was wanting. I just don't think aliens, or as Lucas likes to call them, interdimensional beings, really fits in the Indiana Jones universe. I don't hate Shia LaBeouf other than the swinging on vines with monkeys. That was I have no idea what Spielberg was thinking or even doing. The entire intro in the warehouse is really freaking good. I love it. But my main problem I had, rewatching the film a few years ago, is how clean everything looks. It looks like they're shooting on a stage. It's got that artificial lighting. There's not a speck of dirt on anyone's clothes, especially Indy's. You look at his jacket in the entire film; it's flawless. Yeah, let's just see what he has to say.
Riding a horse into the sunset.
This
Because
was a
I
great
thought that
ending, by
brought
the
the
way.
curtain down on the trilogy, and then we were all going to move on and mature into other aspects of filmmaking, and I never thought I would ever see Indiana Jones again. And Harrison was tenacious, and Harrison called George and got George thinking
George has a great hair. Just have to point that out. Fantastic hair.
about it. Then George
Kind of
called
jealous.
me, and he said, well, Steve, what do you want to do? It could be fun to make another movie. And I was the holdout. I was the one that said, I'm done with this series. It was great. Let's walk away.
It was
And
one of the greatest trilogies ever made. You gotta go up there with the original Star Wars. Obviously, got Indiana Jones. Lord of the Rings is up there. Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, it was a fantastic trilogy. All three films were great. My favorite, it kind of flip flops between Raiders and Last Crusade. Um, I think Raiders is the better film, but Last Crusade is a little bit more fun, especially with Sean Connery's character.
I have to give the credit to Harrison for starting the ball rolling.
Yeah,
and then
this
for
entire
George
intro of
in
Crystal
working
Skull is
on
really
me
good.
to get me to consider the possibility of more stories, or at least one more story.
Yeah, so it seems like he was willing to do a fourth movie if he liked the script, and he liked the ideas. In my opinion, it just seemed like his heart wasn't in it.
George Lucas
He wasn't
had
totally
this
confident
idea for Indiana
in the
Jones,
film, it seems.
and it was basically, hey, let's do aliens. And
Yeah,
I said,
aliens,
George, I don't want to do aliens. I've done 2 alien movies. At the time, I had done E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, not in that order. But
And he also did War of the Worlds in 2005.
I didn't want to do any more aliens. That was it. But George insisted, and he didn't. He said, this will be like a B movie. It'll be like those 1950s B movies, Earth versus Flying Saucers, and all those exploitation movies that were really about government paranoia, Cold War fears, and things like that. And Hollywood turned them into invaders from Mars.
It was the idea of taking the genre from the 1930s serials, action-adventure serials, to the B science fiction movies of the 50s, in the early 50s. And I said, if we move the whole thing into the 50s, which would be age-appropriate for Harrison, that would be the cinematic equivalent. And I wanted to rest it on a cinematic antecedent, like we did with the other one.
And I resisted, but I also never thought I'd be making Indiana Jones 4. So I guess I kind of humored George by going along with it, thinking, well, I'll never wind up directing this movie, though. I'll wind up producing it with George and somebody else. We'll get some young kid to come in and do this,
Yeah, he
And
didn't really
then
want to do
when we actually
this
began
film.
to get close to a story involving extraterrestrials, Independence Day came out, which was a smash. And I said to George, I called
Wait,
George
so
up after I saw
Independence Day came out, what, in 95 or 96? So George has been thinking of doing Aliens for Indiana Jones 4 at that point for about 12 or 13 years. It's crazy. Like, I get that some people might like that concept of aliens. It's just, it doesn't seem, to me, it doesn't really fit. The same thing with Dial of Destiny, with time travel. To me, that didn't really fit, in the Indiana Jones universe. One thing I would like to see, and obviously they're not going to do it now, is Indiana Jones, you could call it this, Indiana Jones and the Lost City of Atlantis. I think, him going out on an adventure trying to find Atlantis, and I think this was a PC game back in the day, but I think that would be a more interesting idea for a, fourth Indiana Jones film other than, what we got with Shia LaBeouf and Aliens.
said, hey, this movie's really a lot of fun. It's brilliantly directed by Roland Emmerich. It's just got everything you want in a movie. It's got humor, and it's got drama. It's got things you've never seen before. It's got a mothership bigger than my mothership in Close Encounters hovering over a city in broad daylight. I said, come on, we can't do Aliens, especially since Roland has done his Alien picture.
I then sort of thought, well, maybe I could do a kind of, there's a whole genre of ancient civilizations developed by aliens.
Yeah, the
And
creature design is actually really good. Like, I love the design of the aliens.
You can move it into that, without flying saucers
Or,
and see if that would work.
as George likes to say, interdimensional beings.
So then George came to me one day, I'll never forget this conversation, said, you might be right about this alien thing. Maybe we shouldn't do aliens. There's too much of that stuff around. I said, George, I love you. That's the best news you've ever given me. He said, yeah, they're not aliens. They're kind of extra dimensional. I said, what? He said, ever hear of string theory about different dimensions? I said, yeah. He said, okay, these are interdimensional beings. They're not extraterrestrials, they're interdimensional. So I said, fine. And what are they going to look like? George said, look like aliens, but we'll call them interdimensional. But at that point, I
You
thought
can
that was
tell
kind of
Spielberg has
interesting, kind
a
of deep
tough
in the
time
subject
telling
matter.
George no.
So once I started that, then we started getting on the right track and getting the script in shape, and then it finally became what it is. But it's been a kind of long road to get everybody to agree, and we're not going to do the movie unless all three of us agree on it. Well, the original title on the original script was Indiana Jones and the Saucerman.
And the
That's what I
Saucer Man.
wanted it to be, and then
Wow. What a title. Yeah.
it went from there to things even like Indiana Jones and the Attack of the Giant Ants.
Attack of
Listen,
the
hey, this-
Giant Ants. You have two geniuses trying to come up with titles, and that's what you come up with?
Call this Indiana
Yeah,
Jones and the yada yada of the Mysterians until I realized, wait, we can't call it that. There was a movie called The Mysterians, so we had to give that up. We're their custodians.
Oh, I forgot. Before I forget, I wanted to show this off. So, this is some of the Dr. Pepper cans that I got when the film came out. I used to collect stupid shit like this. I don't know why. Unopened. Have another one. You can see that. I used to have 3, but one time I really wanted a Dr. Pepper. I ended up opening it. Yeah, I just want to show that off. I used to collect some dumb shit like that when I was a kid.